All right, I go back and forth between boat kicks and motorcycle kicks, stuff like that. I know this channel is a little bit sporadic, going from one topic to the other. But a thing for people buying their first boat, whatever, things to look at is if you're tight on cash, and most people that are going to buy a boat are going to be tight on cash, the first thing is find a place where you can work on it. But the only thing you want to do the first year is just use it the way it is. As long as it doesn't need anything major. So I use what the marine surveyors call burn'ems, leak'ems, or sink'ems. So anything that's going to be basically safety oriented, take care of that. But if you have everything you need to go, just use what you have. Learn how the rigging goes together properly, because a lot of people, I had to figure this one out. It's not a hard rigging for this one, it's pretty simple, but I had to figure it out too, because there's a lot of these old boats don't have any manuals. But rather than trying to rush to put your boat in the water the first year you buy it, you might be better off just to buy it, get it ready for the following season. That way you're not buying the boat, say, in like June and trying to rush it into the water for July and August and then pulling it out of the water in September or October. Depending on where you live. If you're down south, it doesn't matter. You put the boat in the water, leave it in there until you have to haul it out. But do all the work you need to do. Maybe redo the anti-fouling, stuff like that. Because you'll have just as much fun working on the boat and stuff like that, getting it ready. You'll have more fun sailing it, that's for sure, and doing adventures with it. But you'll have fun on the hard with it too, just kind of the hopium that you get with it. So it's pretty cool to do that too. But one of the other things I would say for sure is just don't try to rush it. My very first boat, I tried to rush it in the water, and it caused a lot of stress. I bought the boat in the spring. Didn't quite have enough money for all the marina fees, although I found a cheap marina to stay at. By the time I had it hauled here and dropped over there and dropped in the water and did this and that, I would have been better off just to probably wait till the following season to put it in the water. And a lot of clubs will do that. A lot of clubs will have a rule is, okay, yes, you have 2 years to put your boat in the water. The second year, if it's not in the water, you're going to have to take the boat out of the club, because people just end up using boatyards as storage, right? And they don't want that. And I don't blame them, because it gets to the point where you can't move. You got 1,600 boats in a boatyard that can only really truly hold 500 boats, you know what I mean? And half these boats are just sitting there rotting away because nobody has the money to work on them. I had access to probably 3 boats that were free. And what I wanted out of it was the lead and I was going to strip the hardware and sell off the hardware and just let them crush the boat with a bulldozer, because they were so rotted. You couldn't even walk on the deck. It was just like the deck looked like a wrinkled cloth. It was just so bad. They're like, yeah, it's like you can look at the boat. It's a free boat, but the thing is you have to move it right away. So they didn't move it, but I wanted the lead keel, because I was like, hey, well, that lead keel, I could either make another keel for a build boat project, or I could just take it to the scrap heap, right? And all those stainless and all that, all that stuff, to me, I looked at as worth money. But some of these older boats might be a project boat. A lot of them, if they're just dirty, it's no problem. And a couple of leaks here and there, that's no problem. You'll get that up and going. But let's say you got a boat in about the condition I got here, which is pretty good. This boat, I could put it. Yeah, there's some things that I would probably, before I put it back in the water, I'm definitely going to take care of. Bulkhead on that chain plate, there's a bit of rot in it, but it's still solid enough that I don't have to worry about it yet. But I'm going to nip that one in the bud so I don't have to worry about it. You'd say, well, oh no, you have to replace it right away. It's a judgment call. If somebody's insurance or reputation is on the line, yeah, you got to rip it out right away. If you're going by, okay, well, what parts are rotted? It's just a little bit of surfaced here, no problem. But if you want to make it 0 time, then you're going to put some work into it. And maybe you will do those kind of projects first. But you can also do something else too. Is that, okay, it's good enough to go. You put the boat in the water. You don't buy anything for it other than a little bit of petrol to run up the engine. And on a boat like this, you don't use a lot of fuel. You might maybe do 2 fill. If you use the boat every day, every weekend, you might do maybe 2-3 fill-ups a season. Because you're basically just coming out off mooring and whatever, unless you motor sail all the time. But it kind of defeats the purpose of a sailboat if you're not using the sails, right? But sometimes you have to. Sometimes you have to. I mean, sometimes the wind dies off like this, and your sailboat becomes a motorboat. Yeah, okay, but even at that, you don't use a lot. So operational costs, if you have the operational costs down, and probably I'd say a $1,500 to $2,000 Murphy fund for things that just might go awry on you. You have the hatch up one day, and all of a sudden a big gust of wind comes along and rips your hatch up off the front. I've seen that happen to some boats where the hatch is a little loose and it's sitting there at the dock, and all of a sudden you just see a hatch go flying across the dock, and it's like, uh-oh, somebody's going to be coming back to a sunken boat. Usually people are pretty good and they'll seal it up for you and leave you a little note saying, or they'll get the club to contact you or whatever. But sometimes people don't catch it in time either, and you come back and you got half your boat's full of water because of the rain. But yeah, the little projects like that, just take the boat out, use it for what it is. So before you replace the cushions and replace buy a new compass and a new depth sounder and auto helm and all these things, see what it needs first, because you don't want to spend hundreds of dollars on something when let's say you discover a major problem in the boat that, okay, well, I need I don't know, $500 to fix this or whatever, and you spent $500 on cushions. Use the boat the second season or over the winter. That's when you do the project stuff, unless you have like an infinite supply of money, but I know most people don't, and you'll just stress yourself out trying to do it all in one season. The point of these boats is, and this is what's keeping me from selling off this boat, is, even though if somebody were to offer me the right money, I'd probably sell it. But on the other hand, it's the idea that it's bought and it's paid for. Okay? The only reason why I'd probably sell this boat is probably to buy a bigger one, but I'd make sure I'd be able to get it in the water. Or I'd buy a faster race boat, that type of thing. But do I need to replace this boat? No, this is a perfect size boat. It's 26 feet. You could sleep 5 people in it. I got 6-foot standing room. I lived on it for 4 months, not with 5 other people, but it's a good boat for what it is. Ain't broke, don't fix it, right? But that said, maintain the crap out of it. And once I get it all, it'll never be a show boat, but once I get it up to the standard that I want, then I can start planning out projects that are for cosmetic or whatever, or upgrade. Like, for example, I would love to rebuild the tiller, just to see if I can get a more efficient foil back there. I'm not sure if I want to stick with an inboard on this thing. Just maybe get an extra. Do I gain an extra knot of speed or half, 3/4 of a knot just by going to an outboard on the back? But I do like the inboard for some things. One of the fantasies I've had for this boat was to make it an all-electric boat, meaning no gas, no diesel, just put an little electric motor in there. And you never know, I might do that. But it's like, I got to make sure I'm going to keep the boat before I splurge that much money into it. But yeah, so projects are more like a second year thing. Now let's say you bought this boat, you sailed it around, and it's you and your wife and your 2 kids or whatever, and you're like, we love this boat, but it's just not big enough. Would you have wanted to put $5,000 into something that you're going to get rid of maybe a year, 2 years down the road? Take your time with these things. That's all I'm telling you, because you can. There's some people I know, like there was a couple, they had a 35-footer. It was too big for them. They bought it because they had 2 kids, or their kids were teenagers or whatever. And then 10 years on, they're just like, we downsized to a 26-footer like this. In fact, it was a Hughes 26. That's how I was talking to them. And they're like, it's perfect size. They went down to a 22-footer first, and it was just too small. And then they went back up to this. So it's kind of, you learn what you want after a while anyway. And then other people, they had this and this type of boat. They're like, it was a great cruising boat, but man, we couldn't race with it. It was just too slow. Other people, well, it's fast enough. Everybody has a different thing. But that's the thing. Use the boat the way it is the first season. And that's the best advice I can give you. I'm going to leave it at that because I can go on forever and a day. I've done a bit of work today and I'm just kind of lollygagging now anyway. So, all right. So have yourselves a great day, eh?